In October and December this year, the government has directed disaster committees to take measures that aim to prevent outbreak of diseases caused by the lack of safe and clean water.
Ndugu wananchi, napenda kutoa wito kwa wananchi wote.
I would like to make a call to all citizens, leaders, experts and village, district, regional and national attendants to fulfill our responsibilities in managing disasters so this rain season doesn't affect national development. The government will continue to inform the public on steps to be taken through the relevant institution and the media as the Weather Forecast Authority forecasts at various times. Therefore, we urge all citizens to make a close follow-up on warnings and use information from experts correctly and take precaution for the development of our economy.
Na kutumia taarifa za wataalamu kutoka sekta mbalimbali.
The government has given the National Service Force agricultural equipment and machinery worth about 4 billion shillings to support implementation of agricultural, livestock and fisheries projects in order to revolutionize the sector.
The National Defence Force, through the Strategic Plan for Agriculture, could contribute greatly to food availability in the country. The purchase of agricultural tools is important in ensuring our army has sufficient food supply. The National Defence Force must use more technology in reaching set goals. The time to use a hoe is outdated.
Naomba kuchukua fursa hii kuishukuru serikali ya Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania.
Let me take this opportunity to commend the government of United Republic of Tanzania, led by Honorable President Samia Suluhu Hassan, for giving us funds that have enabled us to fulfill our responsibilities.
The Traffic Police Force has warned motorists and vehicle owners to stop putting number plates which are not legally recognized and have not been issued by the Tanzania Revenue Authority, TRA.
Hivyo ndugu zangu ni kuvunja sheria za usalama barabarani kama ambavyo tumeitaja sheria na kanuni mbalimbali za sheria hiyo. Sasa kwa kufanya vile pia baadhi ya madereva wanaweza kutoa nafasi kwa watu wengine ambao wakafanya matukio ya kihalifu na kupata urahisi wa kupenya wasiweze kukamatwa kirahisi. Hali ya usalama barabarani inaendelea kuimarika.
Residents from Saba, Sabini and Mpunze wards in Kama District, Shinyanga region have urged the government to investigate why a water project worth 1.2 billion shillings, whose construction began 10 years ago, has not been completed, alleging the situation has been contributed by the embezzlement of project funds.
We fight for water which is not enough. The contractor has worked on at least 85%. We're asking you, Honorable Member of Parliament, to help us. The contractor is waiting to buy the pump and connect power before water can be supplied.
The Minister of Minerals, Dr. Doto Biteko, has said that they have arrested several traders allegedly for stealing gold, warning that anyone found to be implicated will have the minerals confiscated and legal actions will be taken against them.
From now on, we will conduct an operation to make a follow-up on those who lie on gold purity. What we've agreed is when we find you, we will take your license from you. We want in the mining sector everyone to act honestly, pay tax due and pay your customers too. The government has fulfilled all your needs. They have shifted from smuggling gold in kilogram And now they are cheating on purity. There are those of you here. Our officers are also involved. We've listed them, and right steps will be taken against them. In the past, some were arrested and locked up. They had to pay a fine. We must move forward and obey the law. We must all be honest so everyone gets what is rightfully theirs.
The 12th group of pastoralists from 61 wards comprising of 310 people has arrived at Msomela village, Handeni district, Tanga region after being relocated from Ngorongoro conservation area in Arusha region.
Tunashukuru sana uongozi wa wilaya ya Handeni. Tunamshukuru sana mama jasiri mwenye upendo na huruma Samia Suluhu Hassan.
Tumefanya mtihani kwenye madarasa mazuri, madawati nzuri, na tumefanya kwenye darasa lenye kompyuta. Na tunamshukuru Mungu, mama yetu Samia ametujengea shule nzuri na tunatarajia kwenda sekondari ambayo amejenga yeye mwenyewe.
Leo katika namna ya kipekee tumepokea kaya 61, watu 310 na mifugo 2213.
The winner of Mchezo Super of Radio 1, Vitus Paul Miti, a welder from Songea, has been handed over the car he won from the Buruza Ndinga campaign at ITV Studios in Mikocheni, Dar es Salaam.
Kabisa kama nimeshinda. Ndio. Nilikuwa siamini kabisa, lakini nilikuwa naamini kwa sababu ishatangazwa. Hadi leo hii namwambia nipo hapa ITV.
Anakuona sasa hivi.
Bado haamini. Sawa, nitakuletea ndinga hapa.
And that is the end of the national news. We'll take a short break and return for international news. Welcome back, and now international news. Former South African President Jacob Zuma has been set free following the expiry date of his prison sentence for contempt of court. More on the story.
Zuma received a 15-month sentence last year after he ignored instructions to participate in a corruption inquiry. He handed himself in on July 7th last year to begin his sentence, triggering the worst violence South Africa had seen in years as his angry supporters took to the streets. Zuma was released on medical parole in September 2021, but in December, the High Court set aside the parole decision and ordered him to return to jail. Zuma appealed the ruling and remained on parole pending the appeal outcome. The Correctional Services Department said all administrative processes have now been concluded and the sentence expiry date marks the end of him serving his sentence under community corrections.
The nuclear-powered aircraft USS Ronald Reagan has launched a new round of naval drills with South Korean warships in response to North Korea's latest launch of ballistic missiles and the flying of warplanes near the South Korean border. More on the story.
South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said the region aircraft carrier and its battle group returned to waters near the Korean peninsula and began 2 days of drills on Friday aimed at bolstering South Korean and United States defense capabilities. The U.S. Naval Strike Group had already participated in missile defense exercises with warships from Japan and South Korea following North Korea's launch of a ballistic missile on Tuesday that overflew part of Japan. On Thursday, Pyongyang launched 2 more short-range ballistic missiles into waters off its east coast and later flew 8 fighter jets and 4 bombers in formation just dozens of kilometers from the inter-Korean border. South Korea's Air Force scrambled 30 military planes in response to what is believed to have been the largest deployment of North Korean warplanes near the South Korean border.
With more than 4.5 million Kenyans affected by food shortage caused by the drought, the government of Kenya has called on international donors to support the country address the situation. The government says the Treasury will allocate 2 billion shillings out of 4 billion set aside to support counties affected by food shortage.
We have agreed on several interventions that the national government will mobilize resources. Our county governments have agreed to provide resources, and our development partners have agreed to support us in a big way so that we can mitigate the effects of the drought, which is as a result of climate change and other factors. In a nutshell, we want to assure the people of Kenya that our government, the county governments, our development partners are well coordinated, and we have agreed that we must make enough interventions to ensure that no Kenyan will die as a result of the starvation.
And that concludes the international news. We'll take a short break again and return for business news. Keep watching Capital News. Glad to have you back, and now business news. A group of tourists from Switzerland has arrived in Mtwara region to visit the historical town of Mikindani. The tourists are touring the world on a boat.
Many traders are not given education on importance of paying tax. That is why many of them regard tax as punishment. But if they are given education, they can easily cooperate with TRA officers.
Katika kipindi cha mwaka 2022-2023 tunaokwenda, mwezi Julai tulikuwa na target ya milioni 277.
In 2022 to 2023 financial year, by July, we had a target of 277,240,000 shillings, and we collected over 410 million shillings, which is equivalent to 148%. In August, the target was 285 million shillings, and we managed to collect 301 million shillings, which is equivalent to 106%. In September, we had a target of 310 million shillings, and so far we have collected 371 million shillings, which is equivalent to 109%.
Mpaka sasa hivi tuna milioni 371,949,210 sawa na 119%.
Ladies and gentlemen, apologies. That was a story on tax compliance where TRA reached its target, its tax collection target. And the story is, for now, a group of tourists from Switzerland has arrived in Mtwara region to visit the historical town of Mikindani. The tourists are touring the world on a boat.
Contribution of this sector is quite profitable. I would like to call on these tourists to be good ambassadors so that they could attract more tourists in Mtwara region, because we have a lot of tourist attractions, and yet that they could stay and enjoy their visit in this region safely.
That we are here in Tanzania. It's a really beautiful country, and we came a second time because it's so nice and the people are so kind, and we enjoy very much this country, and thank you for all the people.
We are traveling with our boat around the world, and originally we are from Switzerland. So since 5 years.
Interesting, touring the world on a boat. Heading on to another story, the government, through the Ministry of Information and Information Technology, has said that it is implementing a strategy that aims to empower innovators in the ICT sector to contribute to the country's economic growth and employment creation.
In Tanzania, we have introduced special setups that can be well supported. There must be good tax, infrastructure and policies environments for these setups to perform. ICT Commission plan is to ensure that creativity centers are introduced in every region.
And that is the end of the road for the business news tonight. We'll take a short break and return for sports news. Welcome back, and now sports news. Tanzania Football Federation's Legal Ethics and Players Status Committee has prohibited Singida Big Stars and Tanzania Prisons from signing new players after breaching the contract regulations of the federation. Here is more.
According to TFF's statement, the committee has banned Singida and Prisons for signing players that had contracts with other clubs already. Prisons signed Musa Mbise from Coastal Union, while Big Stars signed former Young Africans Metacha Mnata from Police Tanzania, but both goalkeepers had active contracts with their former clubs.
Moving to Formula One, George Russell headed Lewis Hamilton to a Mercedes 1-2 on a wet Friday practice at the Japanese Grand Prix. Here are more details.
Russell was 0.235 seconds quicker than Hamilton, with the Red Bulls of Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez third and fourth, 0.8 seconds off the pace. Kevin Magnussen's Haas was fifth from Ferrari's Carlos Sainz and Alpine's Fernando Alonso. The wet conditions meant the day lacked any lessons with regard to the competitive picture of the weekend. Dry conditions are expected over the weekend. It was the first time Formula One cars have been in Japan since 2019, after the race was left off the calendar for the last 2 years because of the pandemic.
Flynn kicked a 48-yard field goal in overtime to give the Indianapolis Colts a 12-9 win at the Denver Broncos last night. Here is the report.
Both teams continued to struggle offensively under new quarterbacks Matt Ryan and Russell Wilson, with all of the points coming from field goals. Wilson was again booed by the home crowd after throwing an interception as Denver led 9-6 in the fourth quarter. Indy now have a 2-1 record despite Ryan also throwing 2 interceptions. The Broncos acquired Wilson in one of the most valuable trades in NFL history in the offseason, and he was booed on his return to the Seattle Seahawks for the season opener.
November's World Cup in Qatar will surely be his last. Here is the report.
The 35-year-old Paris Saint-Germain forward has played at 4 World Cups with Argentina, scoring 6 goals and making 5 assists in 19 appearances. He earned a runners-up medal in 2014, and after captaining his country to the Copa America title in 2021, the World Cup is the sole major trophy missing from Messi's illustrious collection. Messi made his international debut in 2005 and has gone on to make a total of 164 appearances for Argentina, scoring 90 goals. In reaching his 5th World Cup, he will surpass the previous record for an Argentine player he jointly held with Diego Maradona and Javier Mascherano.
And that sports item ends our news bulletin for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, and good night.
Capital News at 9:30 and get updated on what is happening in Tanzania and around the world on political, social, and economic issues and events, without forgetting business and sports news. You can get it all right here on Capital News at 9:30 from Monday to Friday on Zuku Channel 067, Digitech Channel 1103 and Facebook Capital Television Tanzania.
Kwenye CAPCHAT wiki hii tutakuwa na mada mbalimbali, lakini zaidi tutazungumza kuhusu haki dhidi ya wajibu. Na kwenye #+255 ni vikundi vya zawadi. Usikose CAPCHAT Jumapili hii saa 3:30 usiku hapa hapa Capital TV.
Watch Capital Television on Zouk Decoder, channel number 067, Digitech Decoder, channel number 1103. Capital Television, your channel of choice.
Sasa unaweza kutangaza biashara yako hapa ITV ukiwa popote Tanzania. Wasiliana na mawakala wetu wa mikoani.
Moshi Boisafi Shopping Center 0767552551 au 0764150743. Talanta Insurance Agents wapo barabara ya Posta, jengo la Fresh Coach Moshi 0767421822 au 0677480717. JM Communication wapo Marangu Mtoni 0754841319 au 0762013679. Arusha Lihundi Communication 0757200769. Megatop Agents 0754300810 au 0784682268. Dodoma Loshia Investment wapo karibu na Kisasa Peregina 0715603376 au 0784950300. City Boys Electronics 0754816000 au 0754773078. Mwanza Mwana Leonard Company Limited 0754963333 au 0753939193.
ITV Daima Super Brand Afrika Mashariki.
Assalamu alaikum mtazamaji wa ITV Super Brand Afrika Mashariki, msikilizaji wa Radio 1, msikilizaji wa Capital Radio.